$3. That's all Olivia had for her birthday cake. Her whisper barely reached the bakery clerk, who looked down at the crumpled bills with genuine sorrow. Outside, snow fell on the quiet street, while inside, Olivia sat frozen in her wheelchair, staring at the smallest cake in the display. $4, her 22nd birthday, and she couldn't even afford a single celebration. The clerk shifted uncomfortably behind the counter. The young woman in the wheelchair had been eyeing that small vanilla cake for 10 minutes now, her gloved fingers repeatedly counting the worn bills as if hoping for multiplication by miracle. Olivia's wheelchair sat dusted with melting snowflakes, her thin jacket inadequate against December's bite. She'd skipped meals for weeks, turned down the heat despite winter's assault, all to save these precious dollars. Mathematics remained unmoved by human need. Then the door burst open, bringing winter air and laughter, as a man and little girl entered, changing everything. The bakery bell chimed with cheerful dissonance against Olivia's despair. The warmth flooding from them seemed almost unfair, a reminder of everything she'd lost. Olivia quickly pocketed her insufficient money, embarrassment flushing her cheeks. She maneuvered her wheelchair back from the counter, ready to retreat into anonymity. Nobody wanted their festive mood dampened by witnessing quiet poverty on a snowy afternoon. The little girl bounded toward the display case, her winter coat unzipped, despite what must have been her father's earlier protests. Her eyes widened at the colorful array of treats, excitement radiating from her small frame. The father followed his smile, indulgent, but tinged with something deeper, the careful happiness of someone who'd learned its fragility. Olivia had once been a promising music student at the conservatory, her professors predicting a brilliant future as a concert pianist. Her fingers had possessed a rare gift translating emotion into melody, with authenticity that made audiences weep. She'd practiced 8 hours daily, lived and breathed music, built her entire identity around the piano bench, where she felt most alive. Then came the night that shattered everything. A drunk driver, a red light, the sound of crushing metal that still haunted her dreams. When she woke 3 weeks later in the hospital, the doctors delivered their verdict with clinical detachment. Complete paralysis below the waist. She would never walk again. Her parents had died when she was 12, victims of another car accident that seemed to mock her current situation with cruel irony. Her grandmother had raised her after that, a woman whose strength came from surviving the depression and who taught Olivia that dignity mattered more than money. "Hold your head high," she would say, brushing Olivia's hair before school. "Rich or poor, you're still my granddaughter, and that means something." But cancer had taken her grandmother just months after Olivia's accident, as if the universe had decided to strip away every support, every comfort, every reason to keep fighting. Now Olivia existed rather than lived in a studio apartment where mice scratched in the walls and the radiator clanged like a ghost in chains. The building housed society's forgotten ones. Elderly people on fixed incomes, disabled veterans, single mothers working 3 jobs. Olivia fit right in with her disability checks that barely covered rent and her online piano students who often canceled last minute. She taught them through a laptop screen, her fingers demonstrating on a cheap keyboard bought from a pawn shop. The real piano, her grandmother's beautiful upright, had been sold to pay medical bills. Friends had evaporated like morning mist after her accident. College classmates had tried initially visiting with forced cheer and bundles of flowers that died within days. But young people didn't know how to handle tragedy that couldn't be fixed with a party or motivational quote. They wanted to discuss internships and dating apps, not wheelchair accessibility and chronic pain. Olivia understood at 22 she wouldn't have known how to be friends with herself either. The loneliness had become a constant companion, more reliable than any human had ever been. Her birthday had always been special when her grandmother was alive. Nothing elaborate, just homemade cake and off-key singing, maybe a small gift wrapped in reused paper. But it had been acknowledgement that she mattered, that her existence was worth celebrating. This year, she had decided to create her own celebration. For weeks, she had saved coins and crumpled bills, skipping meals, turning down the heat despite winter's bite. $3 accumulated, slowly hidden in an envelope marked with a drawn heart. She had seen the cake yesterday through the bakery window, the smallest one on display, perfect in its simplicity. $4. She had counted her money 7 times as if desperation might somehow multiply it. Michael Thompson stood at 6 feet tall, his brown hair slightly disheveled from the wind outside. Despite being worth several $1,000,000 from his tech company that specialized in cybersecurity, he dressed like any other suburban, father jeans, flannel shirt, comfortable boots. The gold wedding band still encircled his finger, though his wife had been gone 4 years now. He'd learned long ago that money couldn't buy the things that mattered. It couldn't bring back his wife Sarah, who had died from a brain aneurysm when Lily was only 2. It couldn't erase this image of the hospital room where he'd said goodbye, holding their daughter while his world collapsed. Lily was his universe now, a bright, chattering 6-year-old with her mother's green eyes and infectious smile. She had her mother's compassion too, always noticing when someone was sad, always trying to help. Today he had brought her to the bakery because she had been selected as student of the week in kindergarten, and he had promised her any treat she wanted. The media called him the city's most eligible bachelor CEO, but he avoided their attention, focusing instead on board meetings and bedtime stories on quarterly reports and Lily's artwork that covered his office walls. He lived for small moments of joy that made the aching loneliness of single parenthood bearable. Lily bounded toward the display case, pressing her nose against the glass and leaving small fog circles. Her kindergarten teacher had named her student of the week for helping a classmate who spoke no English, and Michael had promised any treat she wanted. He watched her deliberate with the seriousness of a judge weighing chocolate against vanilla sprinkles against frosting roses. That one, Lily pointed decisively at a chocolate cake with rainbow decorations, with star candles, the sparkly ones. As the clerk began boxing their selection, Lily's attention shifted to the young woman maneuvering her wheelchair toward the door. The girl's face caught Lily's interest, not the wheelchair which her friend Marcus at school also used, but the sadness that seemed to radiate from her like cold from ice. "Wait," Michael said softly, his voice carrying the authority of someone used to being obeyed but gentle enough not to startle. Olivia paused, her hand on the wheel, unsure if he was addressing her. Their eyes met across the small space, and in that moment something shifted in the air between them. Invisible but undeniable. The bakery felt warmer suddenly. Or perhaps that was just Olivia's embarrassment heating her cheeks as the handsome stranger approached her wheelchair. She wanted to flee to avoid whatever pity was about to be offered. But the snow outside had intensified and she had nowhere else to go anyway. Her apartment would be cold and empty, the birthday cake just another dream deferred. "I couldn't help but overhear," Michael said, crouching down to her eye level, a gesture that surprised her with its thoughtfulness. Most people stood above her, literally talking down. "Today's your birthday." His voice held no pity, just genuine curiosity, as if birthdays in bakeries during snowstorms were natural conversation starters. Olivia nodded, unable to trust her voice. Lily had abandoned the cake display and now stood beside her father, studying Olivia with the uninhibited curiosity of childhood. "You're pretty. Why are you in that chair? Did you hurt your legs?" "My friend Marcus has a chair too, but his has race car stickers. Does yours have stickers underneath?" "Lily," Michael said gently, but Olivia found herself almost smiling at the child's directness. It was refreshing after years of adults dancing around her disability with uncomfortable euphemisms. "It's okay. I was in an accident. My legs don't work anymore, but the chair helps me get around. And no stickers, though race cars sound pretty cool." Lily considered this information seriously. "You should get unicorn stickers. Or stars. Daddy, she doesn't have stickers or a birthday cake. That's 2 problems." The child's logic was irrefutable, and she looked at her father expectantly, as if waiting for him to produce his usual solution to problems. Michael stood slowly, his mind already made up, but trying to find words that wouldn't sound condescending. "Would you let us buy your cake as a birthday gift? From strangers who believe birthdays should always have cake." Olivia's pride warred with her poverty, a familiar battle that poverty usually won through sheer exhaustion. "I couldn't. You don't even know me." "Then let's fix that. I'm Michael. This is Lily. Now we're not strangers." He extended his hand, the gesture treating her as an equal. "And Lily's right. Birthdays without cake are against the rules, aren't they?" "Lil, absolutely against the rules," Lily confirmed solemnly. "It's probably illegal. We could get arrested if we let you leave without cake." She grabbed Olivia's hand with the confidence of a child who had never learned to fear rejection. "What kind do you want?" "The chocolate one is amazing, but Daddy says I always choose chocolate, so maybe you want something different." Olivia felt tears threatening the kindness overwhelming after so much time alone. "The small vanilla one," she managed, "the one with white frosting." "That's the one you were looking at," the clerk said softly, having watched the entire exchange. "I'll box it up special. No charge for the birthday girl." She winked at Michael, who nodded gratefully and discreetly slipped a 20 into the tip jar. As the clerk prepared both cakes, Lily chatted nonstop to Olivia about kindergarten, her teacher, Mrs. Peterson, the class hamster named Mr. Whiskers, and how she was learning to read chapter books all by herself. Olivia found herself responding, drawn into the child's enthusiastic orbit. Michael watched them interact, noting how naturally Olivia spoke to his daughter, how Lily had claimed the young woman's attention with the determination she had inherited from her mother. "Would you like to sit with us? We were going to have a cake celebration here." His eyes crinkled with genuine warmth. Lily insists cake tastes better with more people. Another one of her rules. Olivia hesitated. This felt like crossing a line from accepting necessary charity to something more personal, more dangerous. She had learned to protect herself from hope, knowing how much it hurt when it inevitably disappointed. But Lily was already pushing a chair aside to make room for the wheelchair, chattering about which table had the best view of the snow. "Just for a few minutes," Olivia agreed, telling herself it was for the child's sake, not because the man's brown eyes held a warmth she hadn't seen directed at her in 2 years. They settled at a small table by the window, the world outside turning white and soft. The clerk brought plates and forks, smiling knowingly as she set them down. Lily insisted they sing Happy Birthday, her voice high and sweet, while Michael's baritone provided harmony. Other customers joined in, spontaneously creating an impromptu chorus that made Olivia's carefully constructed walls begin to crack. When they finished, Lily commanded her to make a wish. Olivia closed her eyes, trying to think of something small enough to be possible. Not to walk again, that was beyond even birthday magic. Not for her parents or grandmother, back death was permanent. Maybe just for this moment to last a little longer, for the warmth of unexpected kindness to delay the cold return to reality. She blew out the single candle the clerk had added, and Lily cheered as if Olivia had accomplished something magnificent. "What did you wish for?" Lily asked, then immediately covered her mouth. "Wait, you can't tell, or it won't come true." "That's another rule. So many rules," Olivia said, surprising herself by actually smiling. "How do you keep track?" "I have a list in my unicorn notebook. Daddy bought it for me after Mommy went to heaven because he said I could write letters to her in it." The casual mention of death shifted the atmosphere. Olivia looked at Michael, seeing new shadows in his eyes, understanding suddenly that she wasn't the only one at this table carrying loss. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. 4 years ago," Michael said simply, cutting a piece of cake for Lily, his movements automatic. "Brain aneurysm. No warning, no goodbye, just gone. You learn to live around the absence, not through it or over it. Around it, like water finding its way around a stone." Olivia understood exactly. "My grandmother died 2 years ago, right after my accident. She was all I had left." "That's why you were alone on your birthday," Lily said matter-of-factly, "because all your people went to heaven." "That's sad, but now you have us. We can be your birthday people, right?" "Daddy," Michael looked at Olivia, seeing her clearly for the first time. Not just a pretty woman in a wheelchair. Not just someone needing help, but a survivor of losses that mirrored his own. Lilia has decided, apparently, and she's very persistent when she makes decisions. "Like her dad," Lily added, then focused on her cake with intense concentration. They ate in comfortable silence for a moment, the bakery warm and safe, while snow continued falling outside. Olivia felt something she had thought dead stirring inside her chest, dangerous and fragile as spun glass. Hope was a luxury she couldn't afford, not when disappointment waited around every corner, but sitting here with these two strangers who didn't look at her with pity, who included her as naturally as breathing, she found herself wanting to believe in possibilities again. "What did you do before?" Michael asked. "You mentioned your accident, but what was your life like?" "I was studying music," Olivia said, then corrected herself. "No, that's not right. I was music, piano specifically. I lived it, breathed it, built everything around it. When the accident took my legs, it somehow took that too. I still teach a little online, but it's not the same. Playing used to be like flying. Now it's just pressing keys." Michael heard the grief in her voice, recognized it as the same tone he used when talking about Sarah. Loss changes everything, even the things it doesn't directly touch. "I used to love cooking elaborate meals for Sarah. Now I can barely make Lily mac and cheese without remembering how Sarah would steal bites while I worked." "But mac and cheese is good," Lily protested, "especially with extra cheese and those breadcrumb things on top." Your sophisticated palate is noted, Michael said dryly, but his eyes remained on Olivia. Do you still have a piano? A keyboard. I sold my grandmother's piano for medical bills. The keyboard is functional. Lily perked up. We have a piano, a big one that nobody plays. It just sits there being furniture. You could play ours. She turned to her father with excitement. Can she, Daddy? Can Olivia play our piano? Michael saw Olivia's immediate withdrawal, the way she pulled back into herself like a turtle sensing danger. Olivia probably has things to do. Actually, Olivia interrupted, surprising herself. I don't. Today's my birthday, and I have absolutely nothing to do except go home to my empty apartment and eat cake alone. The honesty felt reckless, but liberating. But I couldn't impose. You've already been too kind. It's not imposing if we're inviting you, Michael said. And Lily's right. The piano hasn't been played in years. It would be nice to hear music in the house again. Olivia wanted to say yes so badly it physically hurt. But she had learned that wanting led to disappointment, that hope was just delayed heartbreak. I don't know if I can play anymore, not really play. My body works differently now. Everything's harder. So try, Lily said with the simple wisdom of childhood. If it's hard, we'll help. That's what friends do. Friends. The word hung in the air like a question Olivia didn't know how to answer. She looked at Michael, searching his face for signs of pity or obligation, finding instead something that looked dangerously like genuine interest. Okay, she said before fear could change her mind, but I'll need help getting in the car. My chair doesn't fold easily. We have a van, Michael said, already standing. Bought it last year when Lily's soccer team needed transportation. Plenty of room for your chair. He paused, studying her face. Unless you're having second thoughts, no pressure, Olivia. We're not the kind of people who kidnap women in wheelchairs with birthday cake. Olivia finished and was rewarded with Michael's surprised laugh, a sound that transformed his entire face from handsome to breathtaking. Exactly. We have a strict no-kidnapping policy. Lily made me sign a contract. As they prepared to leave the bakery, clerk caught Michael's arm. That was a kind thing you did, she said quietly. Michael glanced at Olivia, who was laughing at something Lily was saying about unicorns. I think she's the one being kind. We've been alone in our grief for so long, Lily and I. Maybe we need her more than she needs us. The drive to Michael's house took them through neighborhoods that gradually shifted from Olivia's familiar working-class streets to tree-lined avenues where houses sat back from the road like shy giants. Olivia felt increasingly out of place, her thrift store coat shabby against the van's leather seats. But Lily kept up a steady stream of chatter from her car seat, pointing out Christmas decorations that were already appearing despite it being early December, telling Olivia about each house as if she were a tour guide. That's where Mrs. Henderson lives. She has 7 cats, but pretends she only has 2 because there's a rule about how many pets you can have. And that blue house is the Johnsons. They give out full-size candy bars on Halloween. Oh, and that's our house. Olivia's breath caught. The house was beautiful but not ostentatious. A 2-story colonial with white pillars and black shutters, the kind of home she had imagined living in back when the future had seemed full of possibility. Michael pulled into the garage and Olivia felt panic rising. What was she doing here? These people lived in a different world, one where wheelchairs and thrift store clothes didn't belong. You okay? Michael asked softly, correctly reading her expression. We can take you home if you'd prefer. No, Olivia said quickly, then more calmly. No, I'm fine. It's just, your house is lovely. It's too big, Michael said, getting out to help with her chair. Sarah wanted a large family. We bought it planning for 4 kids, maybe 5. Now it's just Lily and me rattling around in all this space. The interior was warm and lived in despite its size. Children's artwork covered the refrigerator. Lily's toys were scattered across the living room floor, and photographs filled every surface, most featuring a beautiful red-haired woman who could only be Sarah. Olivia expected to feel jealous, but instead felt only sadness for the love Michael had lost. The piano sat in what must have been intended as a formal living room, but had been transformed into Lily's art studio. Easels held paintings in various stages of completion, and the floor was protected by plastic sheets splattered with paint. The piano itself was a Steinway Grand, its black surface gleaming despite the thin layer of dust. It needs tuning, Michael said apologetically. I've been meaning to call someone. Olivia wheeled herself to the bench, her hands trembling as she lifted the fallboard. The keys were cool under her fingers, ivory and ebony, waiting patiently for someone to bring them back to life. She played a simple scale, listening to the tone. It did need tuning, but not badly. Her hands found a C major chord, then a progression, and suddenly she was playing, not performing, not practicing, just playing. A simple melody at first, something her grandmother used to hum while cooking, then variations that grew increasingly complex as her fingers remembered their purpose. Lily stood transfixed, her mouth open in wonder. Michael leaned against the doorframe, watching Olivia transform from a broken woman in a wheelchair to something luminous and whole. The music filled the house, chasing away shadows that had lived there for 4 years, bringing warmth to rooms that had been just spaces to exist. When Olivia finally stopped, her face wet with tears she hadn't noticed falling, Lily exploded into applause. That was magic, real magic. Daddy, did you hear? It was like the house was singing. I heard, Michael said quietly, his own eyes suspiciously bright. That was extraordinary. I haven't played like that since before, Olivia said, her voice wondering. I didn't think I could anymore. The music felt dead inside me. But here in this room with you both listening, it came back. Lily climbed onto the piano bench beside Olivia, careful not to crowd her. Will you teach me? I want to make magic too. Olivia looked at Michael questioning. He nodded, a smile playing at his lips. If you're willing, I've been meaning to find her a teacher, but somehow it never felt right. Maybe because we were waiting for you. The words hung in the air, weighted with meaning neither of them was ready to acknowledge. Olivia turned back to Lily. I can teach you, but it takes practice every day, even when you don't feel like it. I practice soccer every day, Lily said seriously, and brushing teeth and being kind. Though Daddy says that one should come naturally. They spent the rest of the afternoon at the piano, Olivia showing Lily basic finger positions while Michael worked in the dining room, his laptop open, but his attention clearly on the two at the piano. The domestic sounds, Lily's giggles, Olivia's patient corrections, the tentative notes becoming more confident created a tapestry of normality that made Michael's chest ache with longing for something he hadn't dared hope for. When evening came, Michael insisted Olivia stay for dinner. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti, Lily's favorite. With garlic bread? Lily asked hopefully. Would I dare serve spaghetti without garlic bread? There are probably rules against it. The meal was simple but perfect, the kind of easy family dinner Olivia had missed for years. Lily dominated the conversation, telling elaborate stories about school, while Michael occasionally interjected corrections or clarifications. Olivia found herself laughing more than she had in months, drawn into their warm orbit. After dinner, Lily begged to show Olivia her room. It was an explosion of pink and purple unicorns covering every surface. This is Mr. Bubbles, Lily said, presenting a well-worn stuffed elephant. And this is my mom. She pointed to a photo on her nightstand, Sarah laughing, holding a baby Lily. She was beautiful, Olivia said honestly. Daddy says I look like her, but I think I look like me, Lily said philosophically. As the evening wound down, Michael drove Olivia home, Lily asleep in the back seat. Thank you, he said as they pulled up to her building, for playing for us, for dinner, for making Lily laugh, for making the house feel alive again. Thank you for the cake, Olivia said, for treating me like a person instead of a problem to be solved. You're not a problem, Olivia. He paused, searching for words. You're a gift we didn't know we needed. Inside her apartment, the silence felt heavier than usual. But for the first time in years, it didn't feel permanent. 3 days passed before Michael called. Olivia had convinced herself the afternoon had been a fluke, a moment of kindness that wouldn't be repeated. But his voice on the phone was warm and certain. Lily hasn't stopped talking about you. She's been practicing finger exercises on the kitchen table. I think we need to make this official. Piano lessons twice a week. I'll pay your regular rate, of course. $20 an hour, Olivia said, embarrassed by how little it sounded. That's ridiculous. Professional teachers charge at least 60. We'll do 75. Michael, that's too much. It's fair. Wednesday and Saturday I can pick you up. Olivia wanted to refuse to protect herself from the hope that was building, despite her best efforts. But the thought of seeing them again, of playing that beautiful piano, of being part of something larger than her own survival, was too tempting. Okay, Wednesdays and Saturdays. The first official lesson was a revelation. Lily was a natural student, eager and focused with an intuitive understanding of rhythm. Olivia found herself planning lessons with extra care, creating exercises that would challenge but not frustrate. Michael worked from home that day, and the sound of him typing in the next room created a domestic backdrop that made Olivia's heart ache with longing. "You're a wonderful teacher," Michael said afterward as Lily ran upstairs to get something she wanted to show Olivia. "Patient but demanding, exactly what she needs. She's easy to teach. She wants to learn. That makes all the difference." "She wants to impress you," Michael corrected. "She's been telling everyone at school about her piano teacher who makes magic with music." Before Olivia could respond, Lily returned with a handful of drawings. "I made these for you. This one is you at the piano, and this one is all of us having cake. And this one is what I think your apartment looks like, but with unicorns." Olivia studied the drawings, her throat tight with emotion. In Lily's artistic vision, Olivia wasn't in a wheelchair. She was simply part of the family tableau, no different from Michael or Lily herself. Weeks passed in a rhythm of lessons and lingering conversations. Michael started joining them at the piano, sometimes his bass voice harmonizing with Lily's soprano as Olivia played. These moments felt dangerous in their perfection, like glimpses of a life that wasn't really hers. It was during the third week of lessons when the doorbell rang unexpectedly. Michael excused himself to answer it while Olivia continued working with Lily on a simple duet. The voices from the entryway grew louder, and Olivia recognized the tension even before the two men appeared in the doorway. The newcomer was clearly Michael's brother, the same height and build, though his hair was darker and his face harder. He looked at Olivia with unmistakable suspicion, then back at Michael. "I didn't know you had company," he said, emphasizing the last word in a way that made it clear he meant something else entirely. "Uncle Robert?" Lily abandoned the piano to launch herself at him. "This is Olivia. She's teaching me piano and she can play anything and she makes the house sing." Robert hugged Lily but kept his eyes on Olivia. "I see. And how did you two meet?" "At the bakery," Lily answered before either adult could speak. "It was her birthday and she only had $3 for cake, so Daddy bought her one, and now she teaches me piano and we're her birthday people because all her people are in heaven like Mommy." Robert's eyebrows rose and he shot Michael a look that spoke volumes. "Mike, can I talk to you for a minute alone?" Michael's jaw tightened. "Lily, why don't you show Olivia your new books? I'll be right back." As they left, Olivia caught fragments of the heated conversation. "What are you thinking?" Robert's voice carried down the hall. "Some stranger in your house around Lily." Olivia tried to focus on Lily's enthusiastic book presentation, but shame burned in her chest. Of course, Michael's family would be suspicious. A woman in a wheelchair with no money suddenly in their home around the child. It looked exactly like what it wasn't. When Michael returned, his face was carefully composed, but Olivia could see the tension in his shoulders. Robert had to leave. Unexpected business call. "I should go too," Olivia said quietly. "No," Lily protested. "We haven't finished our duet." Michael met Olivia's eyes over his daughter's head. "Please stay. Robert is overprotective. He's been that way since Sarah died. Don't let him drive you away." But the magic of the afternoon had dissipated. Olivia finished the lesson mechanically, made an excuse about a headache, and asked Michael to take her home early. In the van, the silence stretched between them until Michael finally broke it. "I'm sorry about Robert. He means well, but he's been suspicious of everyone since Sarah died, especially any woman who comes near Lily or me. He thinks everyone wants something in." "He's not entirely wrong," Olivia said, staring out the window. "I do want something. I want to feel normal again. I want to play music that matters. I want to forget just for a few hours that my life is what it is now. Maybe that's taking advantage." "That's not taking advantage," Michael's voice was fierce. "That's being human. We all want connection. That's not something to apologize for." For the next 2 weeks, Olivia made excuses to cut the lesson short, to avoid staying for dinner, to keep herself separated from the warmth of their family life. She told herself it was better this way, less complicated. But the truth was, Robert's suspicion had awakened her own fears. What if she was taking advantage? What if she was becoming too attached to a life she could never have on? She canceled the next lesson, claiming illness, then the next blaming weather. On the third cancellation, Michael showed up at her apartment door, unannounced, concern etched on his face. Lily's worried about you, he said simply. So am I. Olivia's apartment felt even smaller and shabbier with Michael standing in it. The peeling wallpaper, the water stains on the ceiling, the thin carpet worn through in places, all of it a stark contrast to his world. You shouldn't be here. Because it's not safe or because you're embarrassed? His eyes took in the sparse furnishings, the wheelchair ramp she'd built herself from scrap wood, the keyboard propped on a wobbly card table. Both, Olivia admitted. Look at this place, look at me. I don't belong in your world, Michael. Your brother saw it immediately. Robert doesn't get to decide who belongs in my world. Michael stepped further into the apartment, his presence filling the small space. And neither do you actually. That's my choice. It's not that simple. It can be. Michael moved to the kitchen table where newspaper clippings were spread out. Before Olivia could stop him, he picked one up, a review from 3 years ago, praising her performance at the conservatory. Olivia Chen displays a rare combination of technical brilliance and emotional authenticity. Her Chopin was nothing short of transcendent. He looked up at her. This is you. Was me, before. No, is you. I've heard you play. The accident took your mobility, not your talent. Michael set the clipping down gently. I did some research. You were headed for a solo career. Scholarships competition wins concert tours planned. He gestured around the apartment. This isn't you giving up music. This is you punishing yourself for surviving. The words hit with the force of truth, piercing the armor Olivia had built around herself. Tears sprang to her eyes before she could stop them. I don't pity you, Olivia. Michael continued, his voice softening. I admire you. Your strength, your talent, your kindness with Lily. The way you make our house feel like a home again. I'm not offering charity. I'm being selfish. We want you in our lives. Why? The question was barely a whisper. Because some people belong together even when it makes no logical sense. Because Lily smiles more when you're around. Because I can breathe easier in my own home when you're there. Michael moved closer, crouching down to her eye level, just as he had that first day in the bakery. Because when you play, I can imagine a future again. Is that taking advantage? Maybe. But I think it's something simpler. I think it's friendship. Maybe something more someday if we're both brave enough. Olivia looked into his eyes and saw no pity, only genuine connection. The walls she had built began to crumble. I'm scared, she admitted. Every person I have ever loved has left me. I can't promise that won't happen again. Life doesn't offer those guarantees. But I can promise that right now, today, Lily and I want you in our lives. The rest we figure out one day at a time. Like learning a new piece of music measure by measure. The tension in Olivia's shoulders eased slightly. Lily must be missing her lessons. She's made up lyrics to go with her finger exercises, something about unicorns saving the world with music, very avant-garde. A small smile tugged at Olivia's lips. I've been working on some new teaching methods for children with different learning styles. She'll be thrilled. Michael stood, offering his hand. Saturday lesson as usual. I'll pick you up. Olivia hesitated only briefly before taking his hand. Saturday, but I'll need to meet your brother properly. Clear the air. That's fair. Family dinner next week. You can face the Inquisition all at once, Rishis. You make it sound so appealing. Lily will protect you. She's small but fierce. Michael's smile was warm, genuine. And so are you, Olivia Chen. So are you. As Michael left, Olivia wheeled herself to the window, watching him walk to his car. For the first time in 2 years, the silence of her apartment felt temporary rather than permanent. She turned to her keyboard, fingers finding the keys without thought. The melody that emerged was tentative at first, then stronger. Something new, not from her past repertoire, but created in this moment. A beginning, not an echo. The next lesson went better than Olivia had dared hope. Lily greeted her with unrestrained enthusiasm, showing off the practice she'd done despite the missed lessons. Michael kept a respectful distance but remained present, his quiet support a tangible thing. After the lesson, as Olivia was preparing to leave, Michael cleared his throat. Robert wants to apologize. He's hosting Thanksgiving dinner next week. We'd like you to join us if you're comfortable with that. Thanksgiving, the holiday had lost its meaning for Olivia after her grandmother died. Last year, she'd eaten a microwave dinner alone, watching old movies until she fell asleep. The thought of a family gathering, even one where she might face hostility, was both terrifying and tempting. I don't want to intrude on your family time. You wouldn't be intruding. You'd be my guest. Michael hesitated, then added more softly, my friend. Friend. The word felt both insufficient and monumental. Okay, Olivia said finally, but I'll need to bring something. My grandmother would roll over in her grave if I showed up empty-handed. Lily will want to know if your grandmother's grave is near her mom's, Michael warned with a small smile. She's been very interested in cemetery geography lately. I'll prepare an appropriate answer. Olivia found herself smiling back, the exchange feeling remarkably normal, as if they'd known each other for years instead of weeks. As Michael drove her home, he mentioned casually, I was wondering if you'd be willing to give me a lesson sometime. Not with Lily, just for me. You want to learn piano? Olivia couldn't hide her surprise. Is that so hard to believe? I listened to you teach Lily. It seems peaceful. I could use more of that in my life. The request touched something deep in Olivia. Not pity, but recognition of the loneliness they both carried, of the healing they both sought. I'd like that, she said simply, but I warn you I'm stricter with adults than with children. I can take it. CEO, remember I handle board meetings and hostile takeovers. How hard can scales be? You have no idea, Olivia laughed, the sound surprising them both with its lightness. When they reached her building, Michael helped her with her wheelchair as usual, but this time there was a new awareness between them, a shift in the air that neither was ready to name, but both could feel. Saturday, then, he said, his hand lingering on hers a moment longer than necessary. Saturday, she agreed, feeling something flutter in her chest that she thought long-dead possibility. The days until Thanksgiving passed quickly. Olivia spent them preparing not just mentally for meeting Michael's family, but also practically. She used nearly half her monthly budget to buy ingredients for her grandmother's famous pumpkin cheesecake, the recipe memorized from years of standing beside her at the counter, measuring and mixing under her watchful eye. The familiar process was therapeutic, connecting her to memories that were painful but precious. When Michael arrived to pick her up on Thanksgiving morning, he found her dressed in her best outfit, a simple blue dress she'd saved for special occasions that never seemed to come anymore. The cheesecake sat in a carefully balanced container on her lap. You didn't have to go to all this trouble, Michael said, helping her into the van. Yes, I did. First impressions are everything, my grandmother always said. And this is technically my first impression with your family, despite what Robert might think. Well, you look beautiful, and whatever that is smells amazing. Michael closed her door and walked around to the driver's side. Just so you know, my parents will be there too. They're good people, just a bit traditional. Meaning they'll wonder what I'm doing with their son, Olivia finished for him. Meaning they'll wonder what took me so long to find someone like you, Michael corrected, starting the van. The drive to Robert's house was filled with Lily's excited chatter from the back seat, providing a welcome distraction from Olivia's growing nerves. When they arrived, the house was already bustling with activity. Robert answered the door, his expression carefully neutral as he welcomed them. Olivia, glad you could join us. His tone was polite, if not warm. Let me introduce you to everyone. The next few minutes were a blur of names and faces. Robert's wife, Jennifer, their teenage sons, Michael's parents, Eleanor and James, and finally Robert and Michael's younger sister, Melissa, with her husband. Everyone was cordial, but Olivia felt the undercurrent of curiosity and assessment in their greetings. Only Lily seemed oblivious to the tension, happily showing Olivia around as if she were the host. Dinner was a formal affair, the table set with china and crystal that made Olivia acutely aware of her own secondhand dishes at home. Conversation flowed around her family's stories and inside jokes that left her feeling like an observer rather than a participant. She focused on helping Lily cut her turkey, grateful for the distraction. So, Olivia, Robert said during a lull in conversation, Michael tells us you're a pianist. Do you perform professionally? The question, innocent enough on the surface, carried an edge. Olivia met his gaze steadily. I did before my accident. Now I teach. Such a shame, Eleanor, Michael's mother said with what seemed like genuine sympathy, to lose such a promising career. How do you manage on your own? It must be so difficult. Before Olivia could answer, Lily piped up, Olivia makes the piano sing, Grandma, you should hear her. It's like magic comes out of her fingers. I'm sure she's very talented, sweetheart. Eleanor patted Lily's hand. It's wonderful that you're taking lessons with her. You should see Daddy when she plays, Lily continued, oblivious to the sudden tension at the table. He gets the same face he has in the pictures with Mommy. A heavy silence fell. Michael cleared his throat. Lily has quite an imagination. Does she? Robert's gaze shifted between Michael and Olivia. Or is she just observant? Robert, his wife warned softly. No, it's a fair question. Robert set down his fork. We're all thinking it. Michael's been alone for 4 years dedicated to Lily. Then suddenly there's a woman in his house, in his life, and we're all supposed to just accept it without question. That's enough. Michael's voice was quiet but firm. Is it? You're a successful man, Mike, CEO of a growing company, Lily's sole parent. You don't think that makes you a target for someone looking for security, for a way out of a difficult situation? Olivia felt her cheeks burn with humiliation. The accusation hit too close to her own fears, her own concerns about what she was doing in Michael's life. She set her napkin down and began to back her wheelchair away from the table. I think I should go. No, Olivia, please. Michael reached for her hand, but she pulled away. I'm sorry to have disrupted your family dinner. She turned to wheel herself out, but found her path blocked by Eleanor, who had risen from her seat. Robert, that was uncalled for, Eleanor said, her voice surprisingly sharp. You owe Olivia an apology. Mom, I'm just looking out for Mike and Lily. No, you're making assumptions about someone you don't know. Eleanor turned to Olivia. My mother used a wheelchair for the last 15 years of her life. She was a nurse, strongest woman I ever knew. The chair didn't define her, and it doesn't define you. Olivia blinked in surprise at the unexpected alliance. Eleanor continued, her voice softening. And I haven't seen my son look at anyone the way he looks at you since Sarah. Whatever this is between you two, it's not one-sided, and it's not about security or convenience. The room fell silent again, but this time the quality of the silence was different, thoughtful rather than accusatory. Robert had the grace to look uncomfortable. I may have spoken out of turn, he admitted finally. I'm protective of my brother and niece. As you should be, Olivia replied quietly, but I'm not here to take advantage of anyone. I'm here because your brother and niece brought music back into my mind life when I thought it was gone forever. Because for the first time in 2 years, I feel like a person again, not just a disability. Lily, sensing the emotional shift in the room, slipped her small hand into Olivia's. And we're her birthday people, she declared with finality, as if that settled everything. The tension gradually eased after that. Conversation resumed, more inclusive this time. By the time Olivia's cheesecake was served for dessert, even Robert had thawed somewhat, complimenting her baking skills with apparent sincerity. As they prepared to leave several hours later, Eleanor pulled Olivia aside. My son hasn't been happy in a very long time, she said softly. Until recently. I don't know what's happening between you two, and it's not my business. But I know healing when I see it, and you both seem to be healing each other. In the van on the way home, Michael was unusually quiet. Lily had fallen asleep in the backseat, exhausted from the excitement and sugar. Finally, he spoke. I'm sorry about Robert, about all of it. Don't be. Your mother was surprisingly supportive. A mom sees things clearly, always has. Michael glanced at her, then back at the road. What Robert said about you looking for security, I need you to know that's not how I see you. Not at all. I know. And strangely, Olivia did know. Whatever was growing between them, it wasn't based on what either could provide practically for the other. It was something deeper, more elemental. A recognition of kindred spirits, both damaged but still capable of beauty. Good. Michael reached across the console, his hand finding hers in the darkness. Because I think we might be on the verge of something important here. And I don't want misunderstandings or family drama to derail it before we even figure out what it is. Olivia's fingers curled around his, the simple contact sending warmth up her arm and into her chest. Measure by measure, she reminded him, echoing his earlier words. Exactly. His smile was visible, even in the dim light from the dashboard. One note at a time. As they drove through the quiet streets, Olivia felt something settling within her. Not completion, but continuation. The melody of her life interrupted by tragedy picking up again in an unexpected key. Different, but perhaps equally beautiful in its own way. For the first time since her accident, the future didn't loom as a burden to be endured, but as a composition waiting to be written. Note by note, measure by measure, with unexpected harmonies yet to be discovered. January arrived with heavy snowfall and Lily's first official piano lesson. 2 weeks into their new arrangement, Olivia found herself looking forward to Wednesdays and Saturdays with an eagerness that surprised her. The Thompson household had begun to feel like a sanctuary, a place where her wheelchair was simply part of who she was, not her defining characteristic. Today, Lily sat beside her at the Steinway, tiny fingers carefully positioned on middle C, as Olivia demonstrated a simple five-note scale. The little girl's concentration was absolute, her tongue poking slightly from the corner of her mouth as she replicated the pattern. That's excellent, Lily. Olivia guided the child's pinky finger into proper alignment. Remember, we want to create a little house for our fingers like this. Lily nodded solemnly, readjusting her hand with determination. Like this, a finger house. Perfect. Now let's try that C major scale again, counting aloud. As they continued, Olivia became aware of Michael in the doorway, laptop abandoned on the dining room table. He'd been doing this more frequently, finding excuses to work from home on lesson days, positioning himself where he could hear the music. Today, he wore faded jeans and a navy sweater with the sleeves pushed up, looking more like a casual dad than the CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech company. When Lily finally mastered the scale and beamed with pride, Michael applauded from his vantage point. That sounded fantastic, sweetheart. Olivia says I have good ears, Lily announced, straightening on the bench. Better than most beginners. She's right, Olivia confirmed. Lily has an intuitive sense of pitch, and she's remarkably patient for her age. The praise made Lily practically vibrate with excitement. Can I show Daddy what we learned last time, the song about the little star? Of course. Michael leaned against the doorframe, expression softening as Lily played a simple rendition of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, her small face intense with concentration. When she finished, he clapped enthusiastically. Broadway, here we come. Not Broadway, Daddy, Lily corrected with the exhausted patience of a child explaining the obvious. Concert halls, like where Olivia played before. A brief shadow crossed Michael's face, so quick Olivia might have imagined it, but she recognized the familiar mixture of pride and melancholy that came with watching a child follow a path that reminded one of past losses. 15 more minutes, Olivia said, gently redirecting Lily to her practice book. Then we'll take a break. As Lily returned to her exercises, the doorbell rang unexpectedly. Michael frowned, checking his watch before moving to answer it. Olivia continued the lesson, but her concentration faltered as she heard male voices from the entryway, Michael's and another deeper and more assertive. The voices grew louder, footsteps approaching the living room. Olivia looked up to find Michael returning with a man who was clearly his brother. The family resemblance was striking, same height and build, same jawline, but where Michael's eyes held warmth, this man's gaze was calculating, suspicious. Uncle Robert? Lily abandoned the piano to launch herself at the newcomer, who caught her in a practiced hug despite his obvious tension. Hey, Squirt. Robert's voice softened momentarily for his niece, before hardening again as his attention returned to Olivia. I didn't realize Mike had company. And the emphasis on the last word made its actual meaning clear: interloper, outsider, potential threat. Olivia straightened in her wheelchair, meeting his gaze directly despite the instinct to shrink away. Robert, this is Olivia Chen, Michael's tone carried a warning. Lily's piano teacher. And our friend, Lily added emphatically. She makes the piano sing again, and she only had $3 for her birthday cake, so we bought her one, and now she teaches me piano, and… Lily, Michael interrupted gently, why don't you go get the cookies Grandma brought yesterday? I bet Uncle Robert would like some. The child hesitated, sensing the tension, but unable to decipher its source. Okay, but don't talk about boring grown-up stuff until I come back. As Lily disappeared toward the kitchen, Robert turned to Michael, not bothering to lower his voice. A word privately. Michael's jaw tightened, but he nodded curtly. Excuse us a moment, Olivia. As they moved down the hall toward Michael's office, their voices carried Robert's urgent and demanding, Michael's measured but increasingly tense. What are you thinking? Robert's words drifted back. Some random woman in your house, around Lily. You know nothing about her. You know nothing about her, Michael countered, voice sharp. And she's not random. She's Lily's teacher, and I trust her. Since when a month ago you'd never heard of her, and now she's spending hours in your home? Their voices lowered, but Olivia had heard enough. Heat crept up her neck, shame and embarrassment flooding her system. Of course, this was how it looked, a woman in a wheelchair with no money suddenly in the home of a wealthy widower with a young daughter. The situation was a textbook setup for suspicion. When Lily returned with the promised cookies, Olivia managed a strained smile. I think we should end our lesson a little early today, Lily. I'm not feeling my best. But we didn't finish. Mary had a little lamb. We'll continue next time, I promise. Olivia began gathering her teaching materials, hands slightly unsteady. You did wonderfully today. Keep practicing those scales. Michael and Robert reappeared, Robert's expression fixed in a mask of polite detachment, while Michael's eyes held a silent apology. Everything okay? I should go, Olivia said quietly. Lily did great today. We'll pick up where we left off on Wednesday. I'll drive you, Michael insisted. No need. Olivia wheeled toward the door, dignity the only shield she had left. I can call a rideshare. You have company. Olivia? It's fine, Michael. Really. She forced another smile for Lily's benefit. Practice your finger houses, okay? The ride home in the rideshare car felt endless, every mile increasing the distance between Olivia and the warmth she'd allowed herself to feel with the Thompsons. What had she been thinking? Letting herself get attached, letting herself believe she could belong in their world of white-pillared houses and family dinners. Robert's suspicion was entirely reasonable. If she were in his position, wouldn't she be protective too? A strange woman suddenly appearing in the lives of his brother and niece, accepting money spending hours in their home. The fact that his suspicions were misplaced didn't make them unreasonable. Back in her apartment, the contrast between Michael's world and hers was painfully stark. The paint peeling in the bathroom, the second-hand furniture, the radiator that clanged like some mechanical ghost, all of it screamed that she didn't belong in their pristine colonial, with its Steinway grand and crystal chandeliers. Olivia skipped dinner claiming exhaustion, though the reality was that saving money had become second nature after years of financial precarity. She was preparing for bed when an unexpected knock at her door startled her. Through the peephole, Michael's face looked back at her, his expression tense. Olivia hesitated, then reluctantly opened the door. You shouldn't be here, she said immediately, conscious of the apartment's shabby state, the water stains on the ceiling, the worn carpet, the makeshift wheelchair ramp she'd constructed from plywood. Because it's not safe, or because you're embarrassed? Michael's perceptiveness was unsettling. He stepped inside without waiting for an invitation, taking in the sparse furnishings, the keyboard propped on a wobbly card table, the piles of sheet music that represented her only real possessions of value. Both, Olivia admitted, closing the door. Look at this place, Michael. Look at me. I don't belong in your world. Your brother saw it immediately. Robert doesn't get to decide who belongs in my world. Michael's voice held an edge of anger. And neither do you, actually. That's my choice. It's not that simple. It can be. He moved to the kitchen table where newspaper clippings lay scattered reviews and program notes Olivia had salvaged from her brief professional career. Before she could stop him, he picked one up. Olivia Chen displays a rare combination of technical brilliance and emotional authenticity, he read aloud. Her Chopin was nothing short of transcendent. He looked up. This is you. Was me, before. No, is you. I've heard you play. The accident took your mobility, not your talent. Michael set the clipping down gently. I did some research. You were headed for a solo career. Scholarships competition wins concert tours planned. He gestured around the apartment. This isn't you giving up music. This is you punishing yourself for surviving. The words hit with the force of truth, piercing the armor Olivia had built around herself. Tears sprang to her eyes before she could stop them. I don't pity you, Michael continued, his voice softening. I admire you, your strength, your talent, your kindness with Lily, the way you make our house feel like a home again. He moved closer, crouching beside her wheelchair, as he'd done that first day in the bakery. I'm not offering charity. I'm being selfish. We want you in our lives. Why? The question was barely audible. Because some people belong together even when it makes no logical sense. Because Lily smiles more when you're around. Because I can breathe easier in my own home when you're there. Michael's gaze held hers unflinching. Robert will come around. He's protective, not malicious. But his opinion doesn't change what I know you belong in our lives, Olivia. The question is whether you're brave enough to stay. Olivia studied his face, searching for any trace of pity or obligation, finding only sincerity. Something inside her began to crack the wall she'd built after the accident, after her grandmother's death, after friends drifted away. The wall that had kept her safe, but also kept her isolated. I'm scared, she admitted. Every person I've ever loved has left me. I can't promise that won't happen again. Life doesn't offer those guarantees. But I can promise that right now today, Lily and I want you in our lives. The rest we figure out one day at a time. The tension in Olivia's shoulders eased slightly. Lily must be missing her lessons. She's made up lyrics to go with her finger exercises. Something about unicorns saving the world with music. A small smile tugged at Olivia's lips. I've been working on some new teaching methods for children with different learning styles. She'll be thrilled. Michael stood offering his hand. Saturday lesson as usual. Olivia hesitated only briefly before taking his hand. Yes, but I want to meet your brother properly. Clear the air. That's fair. We'll arrange something. Michael's expression lightened. For what it's worth, Lily told Robert you make the house feel happy again. That carries a lot of weight with him, whether he admits it or not. After Michael left, Olivia wheeled herself to the window, watching him walk to his car in the patchy streetlight. For the first time since her accident, the silence of her apartment felt temporary, rather than permanent. She turned to her keyboard, fingers finding the keys without thought. The melody that emerged was tentative at first, then stronger. Something new, not from her past repertoire, but created in this moment. A beginning, not an echo. March arrived with warming temperatures and cherry blossoms framing Michael's street in delicate pink. The winter of awkward encounters with Robert had gradually given way to cautious acceptance. At Lily's 7th birthday party, he had surprised Olivia by helping her navigate the uneven backyard terrain, steering her wheelchair with unexpected thoughtfulness. Not friendship exactly, but progress. The piano lessons continued now, extended to 3 times a week at Lily's insistence. The child's progress was remarkable, her innate musical ability flourishing under Olivia's guidance. Sometimes they would practice duets, Lily's small hands complemented by Olivia's expert touch, creating music that drew Michael from whatever task occupied him elsewhere in the house. Today, Olivia arrived to find Lily at school and Michael working from home, a rare occasion when they would be alone. He greeted her at the door with uncharacteristic nervousness. "Everything okay?" she asked as he helped her navigate the entryway. "Yes, just..." He ran a hand through his hair. "I need to show you something, and I'm not sure how you'll feel about it." Intrigued, Olivia followed him to the kitchen, where his laptop sat open on the counter. On the screen was a familiar website, her blog Living After Loss, where she'd chronicled her journey through grief and adaptation following her accident. The private thoughts she'd shared under the thin veil of anonymity, using only her first name and no identifying photos. "How did you find this?" The question came out sharper than intended, a defensive reaction to feeling exposed. Michael stepped back, giving her space. "You mentioned writing about your experiences during our conversation last week. I searched Olivia Piana's disability blog, and it was the third result." His expression was apologetic but not guilty. "I should have asked permission. I just wanted to understand better what you've been through, what you still face." Olivia stared at the screen at her most recent entry dated just 2 weeks earlier. She had written about finding music again, about teaching a little girl whose acceptance was untainted by pity, about a birthday cake that somehow turned into something more meaningful. She hadn't used names, but anyone who knew them would recognize the story. "I'm not angry," she said finally. "Just exposed. There are things in there I haven't told you, things I don't talk about. Like the nightmares, the phantom pain, the days you can't get out of bed." Michael's voice was gentle, not pushing but acknowledging. "Or the post from 3 years ago about saving a little girl at a crosswalk." Olivia looked up sharply. "What?" "A rainy day. A little girl with red rain boots decorated with ducks, curly brown hair, a unicorn backpack." Michael moved to the window, staring out at the cherry trees. "She chased a ball into the street. You grabbed her just as a car sped past." The memory surfaced with perfect clarity, A day before her accident, rushing to rehearsal, the child darting between parked cars, the screech of brakes, the mother's hysterical gratitude, while Olivia assured her it was nothing before hurrying away. That was Lily, she whispered, the realization settling like a stone in still water. I was in the coffee shop across the street. I saw you save her, but you disappeared before I could thank you properly. I looked for you for weeks. Michael turned back to her, his expression a complex mixture of wonder, gratitude, and something deeper she couldn't name. You saved my daughter's life. And then years later, you came back into our lives when we needed saving again. The cosmic symmetry was too perfect, too scripted to be coincidence. Olivia felt dizzy with the implications. I don't believe in fate. Neither did I. Michael's smile was rueful. But what are the odds, in a city of millions, that we would find each other again, that the woman who saved Lily from a car would be the same one to save her from the silence that filled our house after Sarah died? The question lingered between them, unanswerable and profound. Olivia wanted to retreat to protect herself from the weight of meaning Michael was attaching to their connection. This wasn't just friendship or attraction anymore. It was something mystic, predestined, something she couldn't control or deny when it inevitably shattered. I should go. She turned her wheelchair toward the door. Lily's not here, and we don't have a lesson scheduled until tomorrow. Olivia. He didn't try to stop her physically, but her name on his lips held her as effectively as any touch. You're scared, I understand that, but please don't run from this. Whatever this is between us, it deserves a chance. Does it? Or are you just grateful to the woman who saved your daughter twice, apparently? The words came out armored with the fear she couldn't express directly. Do you really think that's all this is, gratitude? Michael stepped into her path, then knelt to meet her eyes at equal level, the gesture that had disarmed her from their first meeting. When I watch you play, when I see you with Lily, when we talk late into the evening, after she's asleep, that's not gratitude, Olivia. That's connection. That's possibility. The word hung between them, fragile and potent. Possibility. Olivia had stopped believing in possibilities the day doctors told her she would never walk again. She'd packed that part of herself away alongside her concert career and dreams of touring the world. Yet here was Michael offering her a different future than the one she'd resigned herself to, a future she wasn't sure she had the courage to reach for. I need time, she said finally. This is overwhelming. Michael nodded, rising slowly. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. That night in her apartment, Olivia couldn't sleep. She kept seeing Lily in those red rain boots, the unicorn backpack bouncing as she chased the ball into the street. If Olivia hadn't been there that day, if she'd left the conservatory 5 minutes later or earlier, Lily might have died. Michael would have lost both his wife and daughter within months. The fragility of their connected timelines made her dizzy. She dragged herself to her keyboard in the darkness, fingers finding the keys without thought. The melody that emerged wasn't Chopin or Debussy, but something original, something that flowed from the turmoil inside her. Olivia hadn't composed since before the accident, hadn't felt that particular fire of creation. Yet here it was, a new piece forming beneath her hands, full of questions and hesitant hope. By dawn, she had the first movement of something tentatively titled Possibility. April arrived with unexpected warmth, trees fully leafed and flowers blooming along the avenues leading to Michael's neighborhood. Olivia had maintained their regular lesson schedule, though, with a new awareness humming beneath every interaction. Michael had kept his word, giving her space while making his continued interest clear in subtle ways, fresh flowers in the piano room, Olivia's favorite tea stocked in the kitchen, longer conversations after Lily went to bed. Today, as she prepared to leave after Lily's lesson, he handed her a small cream envelope. What's this? Olivia turned it over, finding no markings. An invitation. The company's annual charity gala is next weekend. Black tie, very formal, completely boring. Michael's smile held self-deprecation. But it raises money for children's music education, and I thought, maybe you'd like to attend as my guest. Olivia stared at the envelope. A public appearance. Together. At an event filled with Michael's colleagues, competitors, and the city's elite. The implication wasn't subtle. Michael, I don't think... Just consider it. No pressure. I'll understand if it's too much too soon. He stepped back, giving her both physical and emotional space. But I'd be honored to have you there. The envelope felt impossibly heavy in Olivia's lap as Michael drove her home. A gala meant a formal dress professional, hair and makeup, navigating a crowded venue in her wheelchair. It meant stares and whispers and awkward conversations. But it also meant standing, or rather sitting proudly at Michael's side, claiming a place in his public life as she had in his private one. 3 days passed before Olivia called to accept the invitation. 3 days of internal debate, of trying on and discarding potential scenarios like ill-fitting clothes. In the end, what decided her wasn't courage, but its opposite. The fear of regret, of wondering what might have happened if she'd said yes. The night of the gala arrived with unseasonable warmth, the spring air heavy with the scent of flowering trees and possibility. Olivia wore a midnight blue gown that pulled elegantly around her wheelchair, her dark hair swept into an intricate updo. She'd spent an absurd portion of her monthly income on the dress and professional styling, but as Michael's eyes widened when he arrived to pick her up, she couldn't bring herself to regret the expense. "You are breathtaking," he whispered, kneeling beside her wheelchair to present a small velvet box. Inside lay a delicate silver bracelet adorned with a single music note charm. "Not a gift," he clarified quickly. "A loan. It was my grandmother's. She played piano too, though never professionally." As he fastened it around her wrist, his fingers brushed her skin with deliberate gentleness. The touch sent electricity racing up Olivia's arm, settling somewhere beneath her breastbone. This was dangerous territory, this growing awareness between them. Dangerous and exhilarating. The gala venue was a historic hotel downtown, its grand ballroom illuminated by crystal chandeliers that scattered light like fallen stars. Olivia felt the stares as Michael wheeled her through the crowd, curious, assessing, occasionally pitying. She sat straight, her chin lifted in unconscious echo of her grandmother's long-ago advice. Michael's hand rested lightly on her shoulder, a silent declaration of unity. "Michael, there you are." A tall, blonde woman in a crimson dress approached her, smile professional, but her eyes calculating as they took in Olivia. "The board's been looking for you. Harrison wants to introduce you to the Japanese investors. Jessica, meet Olivia Chen. Olivia Jessica Winters, our marketing director." Michael's introduction was smooth, but Olivia didn't miss the subtle tension in his posture. Jessica extended a manicured hand. "Lovely to meet you. Michael hasn't mentioned bringing a friend tonight." The slight pause spoke volumes. Olivia shook the offered hand firmly. "I'm Lily's piano teacher. And yes, a friend." "How wonderful. Michael's daughter is adorable." Jessica's attention had already shifted back to Michael. "The investors won't wait forever, Mike. You know how critical this deal is." Michael hesitated, clearly torn between professional obligation and not wanting to abandon Olivia. "Go," she urged quietly. "I'll be fine. Mingle. Do CEO things." With visible reluctance, Michael followed Jessica toward a group of men in expensive suits, glancing back twice as if to ensure Olivia was truly okay with being left alone. She smiled reassuringly, though her stomach knotted with sudden anxiety. The ballroom seemed vastly larger, now the crowd more intimidating, without Michael's steadying presence. Olivia wheeled herself toward the less crowded perimeter of the room, finding a position near one of the enormous floral arrangements where she could observe without being obvious. The company's logo projected on a wall announced, "Thompson Security Solutions, protecting what matters most." A digital counter below it tracked donations, the number already well into 6 figures. "You must be Olivia." An older woman with Michael's eyes and kind smile approached, champagne flute in hand. "I'm Eleanor Thompson. We met at Thanksgiving, but that was hardly a proper introduction." "Mrs. Thompson." Olivia extended her hand, surprised when Michael's mother leaned down to kiss her cheek instead. "Eleanor, please." "May I?" She gestured to an empty chair nearby, pulling it closer to Olivia's wheelchair when she nodded. "Michael tells me you're a concert pianist, or were before your accident." The directness was unexpected, but not unkind. "Yes, I was just beginning my career when the accident happened. Now I teach. Including my granddaughter who talks of little else these days." Eleanor's gaze was assessing, but warm. "Lily says you make the piano sing." Lily is a natural student, enthusiastic, persistent, like her father. Eleanor glanced across the room to where Michael stood conversing with the investors, his posture attentive, but his eyes occasionally scanning the crowd until they found Olivia. "He hasn't brought anyone to a company event since Sarah died. Not even casual dates, though heaven knows Jessica has tried. The statement hung between them, an observation weighted with implication. Before Olivia could formulate a response, a commotion near the drinks table drew their attention. Jessica had apparently stumbled, her champagne spilling directly onto Olivia's lap, the cold liquid seeping through the expensive fabric. "Oh, I'm so terribly sorry." Jessica's voice carried just enough for nearby conversations to halt, all eyes turning toward the scene. "Let me help clean that up." As she reached for a napkin, her elbow knocked against Olivia's wheelchair control, sending it jerking forward slightly. The movement wasn't enough to cause harm, but the gasps from onlookers made the incident seem far more dramatic than it was. Eleanor's expression hardened. That was no accident. "It doesn't matter." Olivia accepted the napkins a waiter hurriedly provided, dabbing at her ruined dress while fighting to maintain composure. She could feel the stares, the whispers. The poor, disabled woman causing a scene. Michael would be embarrassed. His business associates would question his judgment. This was exactly why she shouldn't have come. "It absolutely matters," Eleanor countered. But before she could say more, Michael appeared at Olivia's side, concern etched on his features. "What happened? Are you all right?" Jessica stepped forward, contrition painted across her perfect features. "It was entirely my fault, Mike. I wasn't watching where I was going. Your friend was just in the wrong place." "No, she wasn't." Michael's voice was quiet, but carried an edge Olivia had never heard before. "Olivia was exactly where she should be, Jessica. You're the one who seems confused about that." The rebuke delivered with such calm certainty silenced the whispers around them. Michael knelt beside Olivia's wheelchair, his attention focused solely on her despite the audience. "Would you like to leave or just find somewhere to clean up?" Olivia hesitated, torn between mortification and a sudden fierce desire not to let Jessica's petty cruelty drive her away. "Is there a restroom nearby I can clean up and be back in a few minutes?" Relief and pride flickered across Michael's face. "Down the hall to the right. I'll show you." As he rose to wheel her away, Eleanor spoke just loudly enough to be heard by those nearby. "Jessica, dear, since you're so concerned, perhaps you could fetch the hotel manager about getting that champagne stain treated properly. And while you're at it, ask them to bring a fresh glass for Ms. Chen when she returns. She is, after all, our honored guest." The subtle power play wasn't lost on anyone watching. Eleanor Thompson, matriarch of the family that owned controlling interest in the company, had just publicly aligned herself with Olivia. The impact was immediate. Jessica's false smile faltered, and several observers who had been whispering now straightened and adopted neutral expressions. In the privacy of the hallway, Olivia let out a shaky breath. "Your mother is formidable. She likes you." Michael's hand found hers, squeezing gently. "I'm sorry about Jessica. She had hopes that once enough time had passed after Sarah's death, that you would turn to her." The pieces clicked into place, Jessica's hostility, her proprietary manner with Michael. "Were you ever—" "No, never. There was a company party shortly after I returned to work following Sarah's death. Jessica had too much to drink and made her interest clear. I turned her down as gently as I could, but she's never quite accepted it." Michael's expression was troubled. "I should have warned you. I didn't think she'd be so obvious." "It's not your fault." Olivia looked down at her stained dress, the evening's magic tarnished, but not destroyed. "These things happen when you step outside your safe little world. Are you sorry you came?" The question held more weight than its simple words suggested. Was she sorry she had ventured into Michael's public life? Sorry she had opened herself to scrutiny and judgment? Sorry she had taken this step toward whatever was growing between them? "No," Olivia said finally. "I'm not sorry. Embarrassed, yes, but not sorry." Something shifted in Michael's eyes, a deepening of emotion he didn't try to hide. "You are remarkable, Olivia Chen." "I'm practical. No sense being sorry about champagne that's already spilled." She gestured toward the restroom door. "Give me 10 minutes to salvage what I can of this dress, and then we'll go back in there and show Jessica that it takes more than a glass of champagne to drive me away." When they returned to the ballroom, Olivia's dress still bore a damp patch, but her head was high and her smile genuine. Michael stayed close for the remainder of the evening, introducing her to colleagues and clients with evident pride. This is Olivia Chen, concert pianist and composer, he would say, defining her by her talent rather than her disability. By the time they left, Olivia had collected business cards from two parents interested in piano lessons for their children and an invitation to consult on accessible music education for a local arts foundation. The evening that had nearly ended in humiliation had somehow transformed into an opportunity. "You were amazing in there," Michael said as they drove home, the city lights painting streaks of color across his profile. "The way you handled Jessica, the investors, everyone. You belonged in that room every bit as much as anyone else." "I had good backup." Olivia twisted the borrowed bracelet on her wrist, its silver catch gleaming in the darkness. "Your mother surprised me. I thought after Thanksgiving, Mom's a good judge of character. Always has been." Michael navigated through the nearly empty streets, the late hour lending intimacy to their conversation. "She told me later that she knew you were special from the moment Lily couldn't stop talking about you." The simple statement warmed Olivia from within, chasing away the lingering chill of the evening's awkward moments. As they pulled up to her apartment building, the contrast between the glamour they'd just left and the shabbiness of her reality struck her anew. Yet Michael helped her from the van with the same respect and care he'd shown at the gala, as if her address made no difference to her worth. At her door, Olivia hesitated, the evening's momentum carrying them toward a precipice neither had acknowledged directly. "Would you like to come in just for a few minutes?" The invitation hung between them, weighted with potential. Michael studied her face in the dim hallway light, searching for certainty. "Are you sure?" "No." Olivia's honesty surprised them both. "I'm not sure of anything, but I'd like you to come in anyway." Her apartment, which had always seemed inadequate before, now felt strangely appropriate, a physical manifestation of her life since the accident. Scarred but functional, limited but adaptable. Not what she would have chosen, but what she had made work through necessity and determination. "Would you play for me?" Michael gestured toward the keyboard. "Something you have composed yourself." Olivia's hands stilled in the act of removing her earrings. "How did you know I compose?" "There was sheet music on your table last time I picked you up. Handwritten. Original." He moved to the keyboard, careful not to touch it without permission. "I'd like to hear what Olivia Chen creates when she's playing just for herself." The request stripped away pretense, asking for a glimpse of her most private self. Olivia wheeled to the keyboard, suddenly self-conscious, in her stained evening gown, playing on a cheap electronic instrument rather than a Steinway grand. Yet as her fingers found the keys, the limitations fell away, and the melody she'd begun the night after, discovering the connection between them, emerged more fully formed, now shaped by the evening's experiences. The piece began tentatively questioning notes that searched for resolution for certainty. Then gradually a counter-melody emerged, stronger and more confident, supporting the first until they intertwined, separate yet harmonious. Doubt and hope, fear and courage, past and future, all woven together in a composition that had no ending yet, just a pause filled with possibility. When the final notes faded, Olivia became aware that Michael had moved closer, standing just behind her wheelchair. She could feel his presence like warmth on her skin, though they weren't touching. "That was beautiful." His voice held reverence. "What's it called?" "It doesn't have a proper title yet. It's still evolving." Olivia turned to face him, finding him closer than expected, his expression unguarded in the apartment's soft light. "Like us." Michael knelt beside her wheelchair, bringing their faces level. "Olivia, I know you're scared, so am I. Loving someone means risking loss, and we both know exactly how devastating that loss can be." The word loving hung in the air between them, neither denying nor diminishing its power. Olivia's pulse quickened, fear and longing tangling in her chest until she couldn't distinguish between them. "What if this is just gratitude and circumstance?" she whispered. "You grateful to the woman who saved your daughter. Me grateful to the man who brought music back into my life. What if that's all this is? Is that what you believe?" Michael's gaze held hers unflinching. "That what I feel when I hear you play, when I watch you with Lily, when I see you face down someone like Jessica without flinching, that's just gratitude, because I've been grateful to many people in my life, Olivia, and it has never ever felt like this." The sincerity in his voice, the certainty, cracked something open inside her. A door she'd sealed shut after the accident, convinced that certain experiences were no longer meant for her. She'd accepted friendship from Michael, and Lily accepted their place in her life. But love, romantic love with all its complications and vulnerabilities, that seemed like reaching for the moon. "I'm still the woman in this wheelchair," she said softly. "That won't change, Michael. The physical limitations, the medical issues, the stares and whispers, they're part of the package. Permanently. And I'm still the widowed father with a demanding career and a 6-year-old who comes first." Michael's hand found hers warm and steady. "None of us comes without complications, Olivia. The question isn't whether we're damaged we are. The question is whether we're brave enough to build something new from the pieces we have left." The words struck Olivia like a physical force, not because they were a revelation, but because they articulated exactly what she'd been feeling, fearing, hoping for months now. They were both broken in different ways, both carrying loss like a stone in their pockets. But perhaps that shared understanding was foundation enough to build upon if they were brave enough to try. "I don't know if I'm that brave," Olivia admitted, her voice barely audible. "But I think I want to find out." The admission cost her vulnerability, never coming easily after years of protective isolation. But Michael's smile, slow and wondering, made the risk worthwhile. He leaned forward with deliberate care, giving her every opportunity to pull away, and when she didn't, he pressed his lips to hers in a kiss so gentle it nearly broke her heart. A question, not a demand. A beginning, not a conclusion. As Michael left her apartment later that night after another kiss that lingered longer and promised more, Olivia felt the world rearranging itself around her. Not dramatically, but subtly, like a key change in the middle of a familiar song. The melody continued, but with new depth, new possibility, new direction. June bloomed into full summer, the air heavy with humidity that transformed Michael's garden into a riot of color and fragrance. Morning glories climbed trellises, roses unfurled their petals, and hydrangeas created pools of blue and purple beneath the windows. Inside, ceiling fans turned lazily, circulating the cooled air throughout the house. Olivia had arrived for Lily's Wednesday lesson, to find the child uncharacteristically subdued. None of her usual chatter filling the foyer. Her small face was blotchy, eyes red-rimmed from recent tears. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" Olivia reached for Lily's hand, alarmed by the child's distress. Lily's lower lip trembled. "Joey Miller said I was weird because I don't have a mom. He said normal families have a mom and I'm just a broken family." The cruelty of children, always unintentionally precise in targeting vulnerabilities. Olivia felt her heart contract for this child who had already lost so much and now faced the casual brutality of playground politics. "Where's your dad?" Olivia glanced around, surprised. Michael wasn't already comforting his daughter. "In his office on a call. I didn't tell him yet." Lily climbed onto Olivia's lap without asking, nestling against her chest with complete trust. "Is Joey right? Are we broken because mommy's in heaven?" The question carried weight beyond its simple words, questions about normalcy, belonging, and the nature of family that Olivia herself had struggled with since childhood. She wrapped her arms around Lily, choosing her words with care. "Families come in all different shapes, Lily. Some have a mom and dad. Some have two moms or two dads. Some have grandparents raising children, or aunts and uncles, or just one parent who loves enough for two." Olivia stroked Lily's hair, feeling the child's breathing gradually steady against her. "You're not broken. You're just different. And different isn't bad, it's just different." "But I still miss having a mom," Lily whispered, the admission barely audible. "Dad tries really hard, but sometimes I need a mom to talk to about girl stuff." The statement hung in the air, innocently spoken, but heavy with implication. Olivia felt simultaneously touched and terrified, touched that Lily would confide in her, terrified of the responsibility such confidence entailed. She wasn't this child's mother. She couldn't be, shouldn't try to be. Sarah's place in Lily's life was sacred, irreplaceable. Yet here was this small person trusting her with her deepest insecurities, seeking comfort. Olivia wasn't sure she had the right to provide. "I understand missing someone so much it hurts," she said finally. "My grandmother raised me after my parents died, and when she passed away after my accident, I felt completely alone, like part of me was missing. Does it ever stop hurting?" Lily lifted her tear-streaked face, searching for honesty rather than comfort. "It changes," Olivia answered carefully. "It becomes softer, like a bruise healing. You'll always miss your mom, Lily. That's natural and right because she loved you very much. But the missing doesn't have to define you. It's just one part of who you are, along with being smart and kind and talented at the piano. And having the best dad ever. Lily added, a small smile breaking through her tears. Absolutely the best dad ever, Olivia agreed, relieved to see the child's spirits lifting. And having you, Lily continued matter-of-factly, you're not my mom, but you're like a bonus grown-up who understands stuff. The simple designation bonus grown-up simultaneously eased Olivia's anxiety and filled her with unexpected warmth. It defined a role that honored Sarah's memory while acknowledging Olivia's growing place in Lily's life. Not a replacement, but an addition. Not competing with the past, but complementing it. I'm honored to be your bonus grown-up, Olivia said, surprised by how much he meant it. That evening, after a piano lesson that had evolved into ice cream and a lengthy discussion about why Joey Miller's opinion didn't matter, Michael walked Olivia to the van. Lily had fallen asleep on the couch, emotionally exhausted from the day's drama. She told me what happened at school, Michael said quietly, and what you said to her. Thank you for that, for knowing exactly what she needed to hear. I just told her the truth, that different isn't broken. Olivia glanced back at the house where Lily slept, feeling a surge of protectiveness that surprised her with its intensity. She's an amazing child, Michael, so resilient and open-hearted despite everything she's been through. Like someone else I know. Michael's hand found hers warm and steadying in the gathering twilight. Someone who's taught me that wheelchairs and widowers aren't defined by what they've lost, but by what they choose to build afterward. The words, simple but profound, encapsulated the journey they'd been on since that snowy day in the bakery, a journey from loss to possibility, from existence to living. Olivia felt the truth of it resonate within her, a harmony to the melody she'd been composing one day at a time. I'm falling in love with you, Michael said quietly, the admission hanging in the summer air between them. I wasn't looking for this. I didn't think it was possible again. But here we are, and I need you to know that this isn't gratitude or convenience or anything but what it is, me falling in love with you, Olivia Chen, exactly as you are. The declaration, so simply stated, yet so profound in its implications, left Olivia momentarily speechless. For 2 years, she had defined herself by her losses, mobility, career, independence, identity. She had never imagined someone would see beyond those losses to who she was becoming, would value not just who she had been, but who she was now. I'm scared, she whispered, honesty the only gift she could offer in return for such vulnerability. I've lost everyone I've ever loved. If I let myself love you and Lily, and then lose you, then we go slow. Michael said, his thumb tracing gentle patterns on her palm. No pressure, no expectations. Just see where this goes, day by day. The promise, modest but sincere, eased something tight in Olivia's chest. Not a demand for certainty she couldn't provide, but an invitation to discover what might be possible together. I'd like that, she said simply. Throughout July and August, their relationship deepened and evolved. Michael began calling every evening after Lily was in bed, conversations that stretched into the night as they discovered shared passions for old films, and Thai food, debated classical versus jazz interpretation, and admitted mutual dislike for reality television. Piano lessons continued, but with a new awareness humming beneath the surface, brushing fingers over sheet music, lingering gazes, casual touches that carried greater meaning. September brought cooler temperatures and a significant milestone, 9 months since their first meeting at the bakery. The relationship that had begun with a birthday cake had grown into something neither could have predicted. They celebrated with dinner at an upscale restaurant that had been retrofitted to accommodate wheelchairs, Michael proposing a toast to unexpected beginnings. October painted the neighborhood in amber and crimson, Michael's street a canopy of fall colors. They sat in the local park on a perfect autumn afternoon, watching Lily chase falling leaves while Michael pushed Olivia's wheelchair along the paved paths. The air carried the scent of wood smoke and ripening apples. I've been thinking. Michael's voice held a careful neutrality that immediately caught Olivia's attention. About the future. Our future specifically. Olivia's heart stuttered in her chest. They had been dancing around this conversation for weeks, their relationship hovering in a comfortable but undefined space. That sounds serious. It is. Serious but good, I hope. Michael steered them toward a bench overlooking the duck pond, positioning Olivia's wheelchair before sitting beside her. The lease on your apartment is up next month. The statement hung between them, weighted with unspoken implications. Olivia had been dreading the renewal notice, knowing her landlord planned significant rent increases. Her teaching income had grown with several new students from Michael's company connections, but not enough to absorb the coming financial hit. I know. I've been looking at other options. All of them depressing, though she didn't say this aloud. Smaller apartments, worse neighborhoods, longer commutes to her students, each alternative represented a step backward she wasn't prepared to take. Move in with us. The words emerged without preamble, direct and unadorned. Michael reached for her hand, his fingers warm against the autumn chill. Not into the guest room, not as Lily's live-in teacher. Move in with us, with me as my partner, as the person I love. The invitation stole Olivia's breath more effectively than any concert hall applause ever had. It wasn't entirely unexpected their relationship had been progressing steadily, but the reality of it, the concrete shift from possibility to actuality, made her momentarily dizzy. That's a big step. She watched a maple leaf spiral lazily to the ground, buying time to organize her thoughts. For all of us, but especially for Lily. Lily adores you. She's already asked 3 times when you're going to stay forever instead of just for dinner. Michael's smile held affection tinged with nervousness. But you're right, it is a big step. I don't want to pressure you. If you need more time, it's not about time. Olivia turned to face him, fully needing him to understand. It's about being sure this isn't just convenient, practical. Your lease is ending, you need somewhere to live. I have a house with plenty of space, that kind of thing. The concern had haunted her for months that what existed between them was born of mutual need rather than genuine connection. Michael frowned, hurt flickering briefly across his features before understanding replaced it. I see. You're worried I'm offering because it solves a problem, not because it's what I want. He shifted closer, his voice dropping to ensure their privacy from passing strangers. Olivia, I've spent 4 years making practical, sensible decisions. Raising Lily, running the company, keeping everything functioning. This isn't practical. It's terrifying and wonderful and completely impractical. I'm not asking you to move in because it solves your housing problem. I'm asking because every time you leave at night, the house feels wrong without you in it. The raw honesty in his voice penetrated Olivia's doubts like sunlight through morning fog. Still, practicalities couldn't be ignored. There are logistical considerations. The house isn't fully accessible. The bathroom would need modifications. The kitchen counters are too high. All solvable problems. I've already spoken with a contractor who specializes in accessible renovations. Michael squeezed her hand gently. I'm not asking you to adapt to a space that doesn't work for you. I'm asking for the chance to create a home that works for all of us. The thoughtfulness behind his preparation, the fact that he had considered her needs so carefully, touched Olivia deeply. Still, one significant concern remained unaddressed. And what about Robert, your parents? Will they see this as me taking advantage of you? Robert has come around, believe it or not. Remember when he helped you into the restaurant last month? No scowls, no suspicious glances. Michael chuckled softly. As for my parents, Mom called last week specifically to ask why I was dragging my feet about asking you to move in. Apparently, I'm being unnecessarily cautious. Olivia laughed despite her anxiety. Eleanor Thompson's bluntness had become one of her favorite things about Michael's mother. The woman had fully embraced Olivia into the family fold, inviting her to ladies' lunches and sending articles about adaptive musical techniques for wheelchair users. I don't know what to say. The admission felt inadequate against the magnitude of what Michael was offering, not just a place to live, but a place to belong. Say whatever you're feeling, even if it's, I need to think about it, or not yet. There's no wrong answer here, Olivia. Michael's thumb traced gentle patterns on her palm. I just wanted you to know that the option is there whenever you're ready. Olivia looked across the park to where Lily was now feeding ducks, her childish laughter carrying on the autumn breeze. The sight tugged at something deep in Olivia's chest, not just affection, but a fierce protectiveness, a desire to be part of this child's life in a lasting, meaningful way. I'd like to talk to Lily first, she said finally. Not about the practical details, but to make sure she understands what this would mean, that I'm not trying to replace her mother. Relief and understanding washed across Michael's face. Of course, that's important to me too. He leaned forward, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. Thank you for considering it, for considering us. The conversation with Lily happened the following Saturday during their regular post-lesson ice cream ritual. Michael had made himself scarce understanding that this discussion needed to happen between Olivia and Lily alone. They sat in the backyard garden, autumn flowers still blooming in defiance of the cooling temperatures. Your dad asked me something important yesterday. Olivia began watching the child's face carefully. He asked if I would like to move in and live here with you both. Lily's eyes widened, a glob of chocolate ice cream temporarily forgotten on her spoon. Forever. Like you'd be here every morning and every night. That's the idea, but before I answer him, I wanted to talk to you about how you feel about it. Olivia kept her tone casual despite the hammering of her heart. This is your home too, Lily. Your opinion matters. I think it's the best idea ever. Lily bounced slightly in her seat, excitement radiating from every pore. You could teach me piano every day, and we could have breakfast together, and you could help me with my science project about sound waves. The enthusiasm was encouraging, but not unexpected. What Olivia needed to address ran deeper. I want to make sure you understand something important, though. If I move in, it would be because your dad and I care about each other very much, as more than just friends. You mean like boyfriend and girlfriend? Lily's directness was refreshing in its innocence. Yes, exactly like that. I know that already. Dad looks at you the way Prince Charming looks at Cinderella in the movie. Lily rolled her eyes with the exasperation of a child stating the obvious. Plus, I heard him telling Uncle Robert on the phone that he's in love with you, but trying not to rush things. Olivia bit back a smile at the child's matter-of-fact revelation of Michael's private conversations. The thing is, Lily, if I move in, some people might think I'm trying to take your mom's place. I want you to know that I would never ever try to do that. Your mom will always be your mom, and she'll always be special to you and your dad. Lily considered this solemnly, her small brow furrowing in thought. My mom is in heaven. You're here. It's different. She set her ice cream down, fixing Olivia with a surprisingly mature gaze. Ms. Peterson at school has two moms because her first mom died and her dad married another mom. She said it doesn't mean she forgets her first mom. It just means she has extra love. The simple wisdom stole Olivia's breath. Trust a child to distill complex emotional dynamics into their essential truth. Love wasn't finite or exclusive. It expanded to encompass new connections without diminishing the old ones. That's a very wise way of looking at it. Olivia reached across the table, covering Lily's small hand with her own. So you'd be okay with me moving in, even though things would change? Some things would change, but the good things wouldn't. Lily's certainty was absolute. We'd still have ice cream and piano lessons and movie nights. We'd just have them all the time, instead of sometimes. And maybe you'd help me with my hair in the mornings because Dad is really bad at ponytails. The guileless addition made Olivia laugh, tension dissolving like sugar in hot tea. I think I could manage ponytails. I used to wear them all the time when I was your age. So you'll say yes. Hope filled Lily's voice as she leaned forward eagerly. Please, Dad smiles more when you're here, and the house feels happier. The simple observation offered without guile or manipulation settled something in Olivia's heart. Children saw truth with clarity. Adults often lacked, unobscured by fear or social convention. If Lily could recognize the positive impact they had on each other, perhaps it was time Olivia acknowledged it too. I think I will say yes, she said softly, watching joy bloom across Lily's face like sunshine after rain. But there would be some changes to the house first, to make it easier for me to get around. Like a ramp for the back door and special bathroom stuff. Lily nodded knowingly. Dad already showed me the pictures. He said we might have to move some furniture and make your room downstairs, but it would be worth it to have you here all the time. The revelation that Michael had already begun planning concrete modifications and had involved Lily in the process touched Olivia deeply. This wasn't an impulsive invitation, but a thoughtful consideration of what building a life together might actually entail. When Michael returned from his deliberate absence, he found them still in the garden. Lily animatedly describing her vision for decorating Olivia's new music studio in the rarely used formal dining room. His questioning glance met Olivia's smile, relief and joy washing across his features as he realized what her expression signified. So that's a yes. He approached slowly, hope evident in every line of his body. Olivia nodded, emotion closing her throat momentarily. That's a yes. To all of it, the house, the future you, all of it. Michael's smile could have powered the entire city. He knelt beside her wheelchair, taking both her hands in his. I was going to wait until after you moved in to do this properly, but since we're already having life-changing conversations today. From his pocket, he withdrew a small velvet box that made Olivia's heart stutter in her chest. Michael. I'm not rushing, he assured her quickly. This isn't me asking you to marry me today. It's me asking if marrying me someday is something you might consider. He opened the box to reveal not an engagement ring, but a delicate silver pendant shaped like a musical note, similar to the bracelet charm he'd loaned her for the gala months earlier. A promise, he explained, voice softening, that whatever the future holds, I want to face it with you, at whatever pace feels right for both of us. The thoughtfulness of the gesture, acknowledging their connection while respecting her need for measured steps, brought tears to Olivia's eyes. This was why she had fallen in love with him, his ability to understand her deepest needs, even before she articulated them. It's beautiful, she whispered, as he fastened the necklace around her throat, the silver cool against her skin. And yes, marrying you someday is definitely something I would consider. Lily, who had been watching with wide-eyed fascination, broke the emotional moment with childish practicality. Does this mean I get to be the flower girl? Chelsea's sister was a flower girl, and she got to wear a princess dress and throw petals everywhere. The question startled laughter from both adults, grounding their soaring emotions in the wonderful ordinary reality of life with a 7-year-old. Absolutely, Michael confirmed, lifting Lily into a hug. The best flower girl ever. With a princess dress. The princessiest. The renovations began the following week, widening doorways, installing bathroom modifications, creating ramps for the back entrance, and lowering a section of kitchen counters to wheelchair height. Michael approached the project with characteristic thoroughness, consulting with accessibility experts and involving Olivia in every decision. What surprised her most was how the entire Thompson family rallied around the project. Robert and his sons helped with demolition work on weekends. Eleanor brought lunch for the contractors and offered design suggestions that married function with aesthetics. Even Michael's father, James, retired, but still active, spent hours researching the most advanced adaptive equipment for the bathroom, insisting on purchasing it as a housewarming gift. The family's acceptance, their willing incorporation of Olivia's needs into their shared spaces, spoke volumes about how far they had all come since that tense encounter with Robert nearly a year ago. By early December, the renovations were complete enough for Olivia to begin moving her belongings to Michael's house. The contrast between her shabby apartment and his spacious colonial had once intimidated her. Now she saw their merged home as a physical manifestation of their relationship. Her piano books beside his business journals on the shelves, her grandmother's quilt draped over his leather sofa, her adaptive equipment integrated seamlessly into his traditional decor. Not replacement, but complement. Not erasing the past, but building upon it. The night before she officially gave up her apartment key, Michael found Olivia in what had been the formal dining room, now transformed into her music studio. The Steinway had been moved from the living room and acoustic panels installed to perfect the sound. A custom desk accommodated her wheelchair with shelves for sheet music and a computer setup for her growing online teaching practice. Is it what you hoped? Michael leaned against the doorframe, watching as she arranged her compositions in the new space. It's more than I ever dared hope. Olivia gestured around the room, still amazed by how perfectly it suited her needs. 2 years ago, I couldn't imagine playing music again, let alone having a studio like this. 2 years ago, I couldn't imagine loving anyone after Sarah. Michael crossed to kneel beside her chair, taking her hands in his. Yet here we are. Proof that the universe sometimes has better plans than we do. Olivia squeezed his fingers, a silver pendant warm against her skin from a day of wear. Speaking of plans, I have some news. The Community Arts Center called today. They've offered me a position directing their adaptive music program for children with disabilities. The opportunity had appeared unexpectedly, a chance to extend her teaching beyond individual lessons to create a program that would make music accessible to children regardless of physical limitations. The directors had been impressed by her work with Marcus Lily's friend from school, who used a wheelchair, whom Olivia had begun teaching pro bono several months earlier. Olivia, that's incredible. Pride radiated from Michael's face. A director position, that's exactly what you deserve. It's part-time to start, just 3 days a week. The salary isn't much, but it's not about the money. It's about building something meaningful. Michael understood without explanation, using your experience to open doors for kids who might otherwise miss out on music. Exactly. Olivia felt a flush of excitement thinking about the possibilities. We'd develop adaptive teaching methods, modified instruments, new technologies, whatever it takes to make music accessible to every child who wants to learn. Keys to Hope, Michael mused. That's what you should call it. The name resonated immediately, capturing both the literal and metaphorical aspects of the program. It's perfect. How did you... Something you said months ago about how finding the piano again gave you hope when you thought it was gone forever. That's what you'll be offering these kids, not just music lessons, but hope that their disabilities don't define what's possible for them. The insight, so perfectly aligned with her own vision, reminded Olivia why they fit together so well. Michael didn't just support her ambitions. He understood them at their core, recognizing the deeper purpose behind her practical goals. I love you. The words emerged without conscious thought, simple and profound in their truth. Not just because you understand me, but because you help me understand myself better. Michael's eyes softened as he leaned forward to kiss her, the gesture gentle, but charged with promise. That goes both ways. You've helped me remember who I was before grief became my defining characteristic. As Christmas approached, the house transformed under Lily's enthusiastic direction. Decorations appeared in every room, carols played constantly, and the scent of baking cookies perpetually filled the air. Olivia found herself drawn into Thompson family traditions, matching pajamas on Christmas Eve, hot chocolate, with candy cane stirrers, an annual viewing of It's a Wonderful Life. The most significant tradition Olivia learned was the placing of the tree topper, a crystal angel that had been Sarah's favorite decoration. In previous years, Michael had lifted Lily to place it, a solemn moment honoring Sarah's memory. This year, Lily approached Olivia the night before the ceremony with unusual solemnity. I think you should help put the angel on the tree tomorrow, the child announced, perched on the edge of Olivia's wheelchair as they finished wrapping presents. The suggestion sent a jolt of alarm through Olivia. The tree topper ritual was sacred, a connection to Sarah that she had no right to intrude upon. Oh, Lily, no, that's something special for you and your dad, something that connects you to your mom. I know, but Mom isn't here anymore and you are. Lily's logic has always cut straight to the heart of the matter. Dad says Mom would want us to be happy, and you make us happy, so I think you should help. Before Olivia could formulate a response, Michael appeared in the doorway, having overheard the conversation. Lily, why don't you go pick which cookies to leave for Santa? I need to talk to Olivia for a minute. When the child had bounced away, Michael knelt beside Olivia's wheelchair, his expression gentle but serious. You look terrified. I can't take part in that tradition, Michael. Why? It's too important, too connected to Sarah. I would never want to insert myself into a memory that belongs to her. The words tumbled out in an anxious rush. Michael took her hands, thumbs, tracing soothing circles on her palms. I understand why you feel that way, I do, but I think you're missing something important here. He paused, gathering his thoughts. The angel was Sarah's favorite because to her it represented protection and guidance. She believed angels watched over people she loved. If Sarah could see us now, I believe with absolute certainty that she would want you included in that protection, because you've helped heal the family she loved more than anything. The perspective shift hit Olivia with unexpected force, the idea that honoring Sarah's memory didn't mean preserving it in amber, but carrying forward her love and values into a new chapter. Still doubt lingered. Are you sure it seems presumptuous of me to step into such an intimate tradition? I'm sure, and so is Lily apparently. Michael's smile held both sadness and peace. We're not replacing traditions, Olivia. We're evolving them to include the family we are now, while still honoring the family we were then. The wisdom in his approach, acknowledging both continuity and change, resonated deeply with Olivia. It applied not just to holiday traditions, but to their entire relationship, their blended family, their shared future. Not erasure, but integration. Not forgetting, but growing. Okay, she agreed softly. If you're both are, I would be honored to help. The next evening, as dusk fell on Christmas Eve, the three of them gathered around the tree. Michael lifted the crystal angel from its special box, while Lily climbed carefully onto Olivia's lap in her wheelchair. Together, the child balanced on Olivia's knees while Michael supported them both. They placed the angel atop the pierced tree, its crystal facets catching the lights in a rainbow of colors. Perfect, Lily declared with satisfaction. Now it's watching over all three of us. The moment crystallized everything they had built together over the past year, the delicate balance of honoring the past while embracing the present, the careful integration of new love alongside cherished memories. As Michael's arms settled around Olivia's shoulders, she felt a sense of belonging so profound it brought tears to her eyes. This was what she had been searching for since her accident, not just accommodation or acceptance, but true belonging. A place where her wheelchair was simply one aspect of who she was, not her defining characteristic. A family that adjusted to include her needs without making those adjustments feel like burdens or special favors. The Keys to Hope program launched in January with 7 students ranging from age 5 to 16 each with different disabilities but shared enthusiasm for music. Olivia approached the challenge with the same determination that had once fueled her concert career, developing innovative teaching methods and adaptive instruments that allowed each child to participate fully. Michael and Lily attended the program's first public recital in March, pride evident in every line of Michael's body as he watched Olivia direct her students through simple but meaningful performances. What the children lacked in technical proficiency, they more than compensated for in enthusiasm and joy qualities Olivia had once forgotten in her pursuit of technical perfection. "You found your calling," Michael whispered afterward as they celebrated with cake and punch in the community center lobby. "This is bigger than any concert hall you might have played in." The observation struck Olivia with its truth. 2 years ago, she had mourned the loss of her performance career as the end of her musical journey. Now she recognized it had simply been a detour leading her to a different but equally meaningful destination. Teaching these children, adapting techniques to their unique needs, watching their confidence grow alongside their skills, this was a different kind of artistry, but no less valuable for being different from her original path. As spring arrived, bringing cherry blossoms and warmer days, Michael approached Olivia with an unexpected suggestion. "I think we should get married this summer." They were in the garden, Olivia transplanting herbs into raised beds, specially constructed at wheelchair height, while Michael prepared the larger vegetable plot. The casual delivery of such a significant proposal made her laugh, despite her surprise. "Is that your idea of a romantic proposal between the basil and the tomatoes? Not the proposal that comes later with appropriate romantic staging." Michael's grin was unrepentant. "This is just me suggesting a timeline, giving you fair warning, as it were." Warning noted. Olivia pressed soil around a small rosemary plant, unable to suppress her answering smile. "Any particular reason for the sudden timeline?" Michael set down his trowel expression, turning more serious. "I realized something recently. We've spent a year being careful, taking measured steps, making sure we were building something solid. And we have. But I don't want to spend another year in this in-between state, more than friends, but less than family in the eyes of the world. I want to call you my wife, not my partner or significant other. I want Lily to have the security of knowing this family we've built is permanent." The directness touched Olivia deeply. For all their careful progress, there was something to be said for certainty, for public declaration, for legal and social recognition of what they had become to each other. "Summer sounds perfect," she agreed softly. "Nothing elaborate, just family and close friends." "In the backyard," Michael added, vision taking shape between them. "Under the oak tree, Lily as flower girl, of course. With the princessiest dress imaginable," Olivia confirmed, joy bubbling up inside her like a spring. This was happening not someday in an abstract future, but in tangible months. A wedding, a formal union, a public affirmation of the family they had already become in private. The official proposal came 2 weeks later, during a private dinner at the restaurant where they'd had their first real date. Michael had arranged everything perfectly. A secluded table, Lily staying with her grandparents, a violinist playing softly in the background. When he knelt beside her wheelchair, silver ring box in hand, Olivia already knew her answer. Yet the moment still held magic, the culmination of a journey neither had expected, to take, a testament to resilience and second chances and love that defied conventional narratives. Olivia Chenwa, Michael began, voice steady despite the emotion evident in his eyes. You came into our lives when we needed music again. You showed me that broken doesn't mean worthless, that different doesn't mean less. You've made our house a home and taught me that love isn't finite, it multiplies when shared. Will you marry me? The ring inside the box was perfect, a sapphire surrounded by smaller diamonds, unusual but elegant, distinctive rather than traditional. Like them, like their relationship. Yes, Olivia whispered, tears blurring her vision. Yes to all of it. To being your wife, to being Lily's bonus mom, to building this beautiful, imperfect, wonderful life together. As Michael slipped the ring onto her finger, the violinist switched to a familiar melody. The composition Olivia had begun the night she discovered the connection between them, now completed and arranged as a surprise. The piece that had started as possibility and evolved into certainty. They were married in June beneath the oak tree, just as they had envisioned. Lily scattered rose petals with enthusiastic abandon, her princess dress sparkling in the summer sunshine. Eleanor dabbed at tears while Robert, now fully converted to Olivia's champion, gave her away in the absence of her own family. Michael had insisted on carrying Olivia down the aisle rather than having her use her wheelchair, not out of shame or concealment, but as a symbol of their partnership, of how they supported each other through limitations and strengths alike. As he set her carefully in the decorated chair beside the justice of the peace, his whispered words were for her alone. Thank you for teaching me that the most beautiful things often come from broken pieces. The ceremony was simple but profound, their vows honest acknowledgments of both past pain and future promise. They spoke of gratitude for second chances, of building beauty from brokenness, of finding harmony in unexpected places. When Michael kissed her as his wife for the first time, Olivia felt the universe shift slightly on its axis, realigning around this new reality they had created together. The reception unfolded in the garden, as string lights twinkling as dusk fell. The cake provided by the bakery where they had first met bore a small fondant wheelchair beside groom and bride, figures, a detail Olivia appreciated for its matter-of-fact inclusion of her reality, without apology or overemphasis. When it came time for their first dance, Michael had arranged another surprise. The community center's adaptive dance instructor had worked with them secretly for weeks, developing a routine that incorporated Olivia's wheelchair as an integral part of the choreography rather than an obstacle to be overcome. As they moved together across the patio, her wheels and his steps in perfect synchronization, the metaphor wasn't lost on anyone watching, different approaches leading to shared harmony. Later, as stars emerged in the summer sky and guests began departing, Olivia found herself beside the cake table watching Michael swing Lily in circles to the band's final song. The baker, who had witnessed their first meeting, approached, champagne flute in hand. $3 for a birthday cake led to this, she mused, nodding toward the celebration around them. Never underestimate the power of kindness or the value of a good vanilla sponge. The observation made Olivia laugh, even as its truth resonated deeply. How differently things might have unfolded if Michael hadn't noticed her that snowy day, if he hadn't approached with hidden offers of birth anyway, if Lily hadn't claimed her with a child's innocent certainty. The thin margins between lives connecting and ships passing in the night struck her anew. Sometimes the smallest gestures create the largest ripples, she agreed, fingering the silver music note pendant she still wore beneath her wedding band's newer sparkle. As their first year of marriage unfolded, the Keys to Hope program expanded, gaining recognition and funding that allowed Olivia to hire additional teachers and accept more students. She began writing a book about adaptive music education, drawing on her experiences as both teacher and disabled musician to create a resource for others facing similar challenges. Michael's company thrived, though he now insisted on reasonable working hours and family dinner times. The balance he had found between professional success and personal fulfillment became the subject of a business magazine profile, The CEO Who Came Home, focusing on how prioritizing family had paradoxically improved his leadership capacity. Lily flourished in the stability of their blended family, excelling at school and continuing her piano studies with her bonus mom. When she was selected to represent her grade in a district-wide music competition, her performance of a simple piece Olivia had composed for her earned not just applause but tears from the judges. On Olivia's 30th birthday, they returned to the bakery where everything had begun. The same clerk recognized them immediately, embracing Olivia and exclaiming over how much Lily had grown. They ordered cake vanilla for Olivia, chocolate for Lily, and a slice of each for Michael, who claimed he couldn't possibly choose between his favorite women's preferences. As they celebrated at the same small table by the window, snow beginning to fall outside in perfect echo of their first meeting, Lily presented Olivia with a homemade card. Inside, in careful, childish handwriting, she had written, "Thank you for being my bonus mom. Dad says sometimes the best family is the one you choose." The simple sentiment captured everything they had built together, a family formed not through conventional paths but through choice and commitment and love that transcended physical limitations and past losses. As Michael reached across the table to squeeze her hand, wedding band gleaming beside his own, Olivia felt the full circle of their journey. From that first day with $3 for a birthday cake to this moment of abundance, in all the ways that truly mattered, they had built something beautiful from broken pieces, note by note, measure by measure, choice by choice. Not despite their damage, but because of it, because broken edges fit together in ways smooth surfaces never could, creating new patterns more intricate and beautiful than either could have created alone. Outside, snow continued falling, turning the world clean and new. Inside, they ate cake and laughed and planned their future, the music of their shared life playing on in perfect, imperfect harmony.